Alright, so today I want to discuss this one. This is one that a lot of gun controllers have been posting, and a lot of people who say they believe in, quote, common sense gun regulation have been posting. But the thing is with this one is that there are a lot of fallacies you have to accept as truth, and a lot of truths you have to outright dismiss before this makes total and 100% sense to you. And this actually seems like a reasonable argument. And I'm going to cover this in this video. You see, over the past 30 years, these places where these mass shooters target are places that tend to be gun-free zones, save only one of them. And that place, well, the people that were attending that were highly unlikely to be licensed to carry holders. They were highly unlikely to carry a firearm anyway. But back on the majority of them, the vast majority of them actually, they were gun-free zones. They talk about Orlando, the Naval Yard, Fort Hood, stuff like that. Well, they were all gun-free zones. And I know some gun controller is going to come out and say, but yeah, they all had armed guards. Well, yeah, that's true, but they're still gun-free zones. Your license to carry doesn't mean a damn thing. And those armed guards are sparse and they're uniformed. They're easy to pick out. In this video, I'm going to go through and show you a few pictures and discuss exactly what I mean on this. So that way you'll understand. And I hope that even if you are a gun controller, although again probably going to be mistaken on this, that you'll put your biases aside and say, well, okay, maybe I should listen to this guy even though he does have different biases than I do. Even though I know that's probably not going to be the case. My bet is gun controllers are probably going to write me off as a gun nut who's just been brainwashed by the NRA. But you know what? That's okay. I'm going to put the message out anyway. So here it goes. Okay, so while I know this sign doesn't have any force of law in Texas you have to have a 30-06 and a 30-07 if you want to prohibit both concealed carry and open carry. Still, I look at this and I say, okay, this guy doesn't want my handgun in there with me. This guy obviously doesn't want my business. And I generally turn around and go somewhere else, even though I know it doesn't have force of law in Texas. However, in other states, that sign does have force of law. And depending on which state you are in, depends. If that sign has force of law as a CHL holder, you have to abide by it. And if you don't, well, there are penalties attached to that if you get caught. Usually those penalties will almost always result in your revocation of your license to carry, and it usually ends up with some jail time or some fines at the bare minimum. But in most states it usually does end up with jail time. So the odds of a CHL holder carrying there are greatly reduced. Okay, so in this next few practical exercises, folks, we're going to put ourselves in the shoes of a mass murderer. Now, you may have a buddy, you may have a bomb as force multiplier, or you may not. Irrelevant. Now, look at this street right here. I want you to imagine that this is an, I don't know, anti-gun New York. Everybody here hates guns. They hate concealed carry. In fact, nobody here, for a fact, nobody here is licensed to carry. They put, this is a gun-free town right up on our, right up on every sign, sign before you come in. As a mass murderer, you know that there's a certainty that nobody's going to be able to shoot back until the police get there and decide to go in. You have plenty of time to rack up a body count. right? So on this next one, instead, let's imagine this town here is Gun Nutville, say, Texas. A lot of people here have licenses to carry. There are a lot of avid gun nuts here. There are a lot of people here who won't leave guns or won't leave home without their guns. Okay, so which ones are the CHL holders? Which ones are concealed carrying? How many of them? You don't know. You just don't know. You don't know when you start shooting who's going to come up with their own gun, or how many people are going to come up with their own gun and stop you. So, as you can tell, this puts quite a hamper on the situation. It throws in a variable you cannot calculate for, you cannot plan for. You see where I'm going with this? Alright, so somebody brought up the scenario of, but Orlando had armed guards, or had an armed guard. Fort Hood had an armed guard, had armed guards. The Naval Yard had an armed guard, armed guards. Yada, 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 yada. Alright, well, let's go through that scenario here too. Now, this practical exercise is going to be dealing with armed guards. Again, put yourself in the shoes of this mass murderer. As you can tell, they've got armed guards there. You see them, they're uniformed, which is how the law works. Now, assume this is a gun-free zone. You're pretty safe to say that those two who are already readily identifiable are the only two with guns. You obviously know who you're shooting for first. And then you've got no opposition till the police show up and decide to actually pursue you. Imagine, though, that this area is not a gun-free zone and that you have the possibility of a CHL or multiple CHL holders there. Which one is it? How many are there? Are there none? Are there one? Are there two? Which ones are they? You just can't tell. You simply cannot tell. And this, again, throws a huge wrench in your plans. So, there you have it. To further illustrate my next point, take a look at this picture. Obviously, the person taking this picture was from an elevated position, most likely had some sort of cover because they were probably on a building of some sort. Imagine if this person had an AR-15 or even just a semi-automatic pistol. The situation could have turned out very differently. That officer who was very shortly there murdered might still be alive. So, to sit there and say that an armed citizen can't save lives, that it's a John Wayne fantasy, or anything like that, it's just simply not true. It's just simply not. This picture here is a perfect example of that. So I hope that everyone can see how nonsensical this meme is after watching this video. How much reality you have to deny in order to believe this. And again, none of us are pretending like we're John Wayne. None of us are pretending this is a fucking movie. We understand this is real life with real consequences. You people are the ones, you gun controllers are the ones that seem to think that you can wave a magical government law and all of a sudden it's going to stop this stuff from happening, even though real life dictates the opposite. Now, I've shown you why mass murderers do not like armed citizens being in their area. I've shown you exactly how a mass murder can be stopped by an armed citizen. Hope y'all take this to heart. Y'all take it easy out there. Have a great day. I was going to wrap the video up with that last segment, but, there's one more point I wanted to add. And that is, it doesn't matter if me or any other, quote, gun nut sits there and thinks we're John Wayne on this one. It is completely irrelevant because we're not there. What we are arguing, however, is that if this person had had a semi-automatic firearm, either a rifle or a pistol, that officer might still be alive. It doesn't matter if we think we're John Wayne or not because we're not there. We're suggesting that cameraman would have been better off with a firearm than not. Preferably semi-automatic, preferably an AR-15, but a pistol would suffice in that situation too. Y'all take her easy now.